Hi and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. I thought it was time for me to set some goals for the new year. It's almost the end of January already, so bear with me. It took a while for me to pinpoint exactly what I want to do this year, but I think these goals, they're good. So I have my journal here, and the first thing that I of course have to talk about is the amount of books that I'm planning to read this year. There are different opinions about how to go about this. Some people like the pressure of having like a certain amount of books that they need to read this year, and others don't really like the pressure. They don't like to hear, oh, you're behind. I'm somewhere in the middle. I can't put it at like 1 because then I don't have any drive to achieve that goal, but I also don't want to put it at like 200 because if I don't reach the goal, then I'm gonna be sad. Last year I read 186 books, and for like a second I was thinking about trying to read as much as I can in December just to reach the 200. But I'm glad that I didn't, because in the end December was very hectic, very chaotic. There was like a time in December where I didn't read much, so it is what it is, and I'm glad that in the end I didn't pressure myself to do it. So I'm not going to put my Goodreads goal at 200. I'm gonna put it at 120. I did that last year as well, and I was happy to reach it, and it just means that I have to read 10 books a month in order to reach the goal, and I think that's doable. It's already done in January, I can tell you that much. I just read my 12th book and I still have like 9 days to go in January, so 10 is doable. There are always going to be months when there's too much to do, when I'm away or something, so I'm glad to not put too much pressure on myself. And it's always great to have like June or July and like reach that goal and be like, okay, now I can go on to try to reach 150, and then I can try to reach 200 and just see how well the year is going. That being said, I think there is always so much pressure in this booktube bookstagram bubble to read as much as possible, and I have to say I myself put my goal so high because I do work in a bookstore, so I have to read for work. I do count the books that I read for work towards this goal. If I DNF a book, I don't count it. I put it in a separate folder like DNFs. But if I do finish a book for the bookstore, I usually just read whatever intrigues me anyway. Of course, there will always be books that I mainly read in order to be able to recommend it to other people in the bookstore. Books that I probably wouldn't have read otherwise. But sometimes they're amazing. Sometimes they're one of my favorite books of the year, so don't discount those. So yeah, long story short, 120 books is my goal for 2023. And then we have another statistic that I want to reach, and that is 50% on NetGalley. If you don't know, NetGalley is an online platform where you can get e-ARCs, which are electronic digital advanced reader copies that you get from certain publishers. And you read them before, hopefully before the publication date, and then you review them, and by reviewing them, your NetGalley score goes up. And the higher you score, the better are your prospects of getting the very like anticipated, like everybody wants them ARCs, obviously. I've been really bad at keeping up with my NetGalley score. I, like in the beginning of the month, I think I was at like 18, 19, around that percentile. And I'm sorry, there was like a time when I was just accepting any book that came my way. I was like, ooh, free book, yeah, let's take that. And I didn't really get around to those. I did always find something that I liked about the book before I said yes, I will take it, but they were never a priority, so I just never got around to reading a lot of those. And sometimes they were anticipated reads. They're still books that I really want to read, but I just don't get around to them. Or there were like the second or third book in a series, and I was like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to get to the first one. And if I love that first book, it would be amazing to just go ahead and have the arc already for the next one. And then I never did. Or I read the first and then there's like a long hiatus with me reading this series, and then I never got around to the sequel, even though I am anticipating it. I don't know what it is, I don't know, but that's a problem. I have a problem. Yeah, so 50% doesn't even reach like the goal that you're supposed to set yourself, because like on the site it says it's best to have like an 80% score and over, but yeah, that's not gonna happen for me. I mean, I get it. I get that it's supposed to make you only pick the books that you're very certain that you're going to read, and that's a goal of mine this year, that I very selectively pick and choose what I want to get, with an exception. So I have 2 accounts on NetGalley. I have one for the English books and one that are for the German publishers. Because I work, like I said, in a bookstore, I do need to have these ARCs, and sometimes they only have them on NetGalley. They don't distribute them to the booksellers via email or something. Sometimes they just say, here's NetGalley, just download it. So I have a lot of books that I have on my German NetGalley that I only have because I need to just skip through the book, or just need to see if it's something that we might like what is the writing style, is it something that we as a bookshop want to represent. And those I don't count towards my score overall. I think I'm on both accounts, I'm at like 18%, but at the end of the year, when I'm going hopefully back to these goals and see if I accomplish them, I'm only gonna look at the English side, so that I know those are mostly for my personal reading experience. There are some on that side that I know are gonna be published in Germany, and of course it's overlapping, but mostly it's just for me, for my reading taste, and that should be a higher score. So 50% or up, that's my goal. So like I said, with the NetGalley score, there are series that I'm very interested in starting or continuing or finishing. Like everybody else, there is like this problem with having too many series, too many books to read, and not enough time to actually do it. Sorry, that was my cat having her zoomies, and now she's scratching. Sorry about that. So my goal is to continue and finish series. I don't want to say finish because some of these are very long series, that it's a lot of series that I started or that I want to continue. And seriously, girl, come on, trying to film here. Okay. And I do want to start new series. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna start anything new. That's not how it works. But I do want to be accountable for some series that I want to continue in 2023. Overall, I just want to be aware of the series that I'm reading, the ones that I'm starting. I usually read like maybe a continuation of a series in the year, and then I forget that I wanted to continue with it. And then when the time comes to continue on with the series, I either don't remember a lot from the previous books, or I'm like, don't really have the time, there are more pressing things. So I want to be aware of the series that I'm reading and trying to finish as many as possible, or like catch up to the ones that are published. I do have a page in my journal for series that I really want to focus on this year, which are longer series, and not only like trilogies or duologies, because those I do want to try and pick up during the year and just see how many I can get through, especially if I've read like the first 2 and only like the second book is still unread, or like I've read the first of a duology. Why is she doing this? Why did I not finish the duology if I have the sequel on my shelves? I don't get it. But like a longer series, I want to focus on 5. So the first one is I want to participate in the Catch Up Book Club, and they're reading the First Law series, and the first one is The Blade Itself, which I have to read in January and February right now to get it started. But this is like a bi-monthly book club. So in this year we would read 6 of Joe Abercrombie's books, and I'm hoping and trying to achieve that. The next read-along that I want to join is the Wheel of Time read-along, and that's of course The Eye of the World is the first one. I'm already behind on that. I only have, like I said, like 9 days left in January and haven't read that. Again, this is bi-monthly, so the next one will be February, March, and so on. So we should be able to get to 7 books in this series. Like the 7th is gonna go into 2024, but hopefully I can manage to read these books. This is a series that I started a very long time ago. When I was a teenager, I read like the first 2 or 3 books, I think 3, of the series, and I remember really liking it. I really remember getting into like epic fantasies because of this. I started a reread a couple of times and I'm like 150 pages in to my reread. I started that last year, sometime last year, and now I just want to continue and keep going because I do want to read this series. I do, and I have like a bunch of the books already, so I need to get to them. The next one is a catch-up with one of my favorite authors, which is Sarah J Maas. But then again, I can't really say I'm a fan of, like a major fan of hers, if I haven't even finished the Throne of Glass series. Shame on me, I know. I think I got up to like book 5 of the series, and then I didn't continue when they came out, even though I own all of them. Again, I mean, they're over there. So I do want to continue with my reread of the series, of the books that I did finish, and then continue on with the series. So the next one in that series I have to read is Heir of Fire. So I'm not gonna reread the first couple of books, but I want to read Heir of Fire and then go on. So I have 2 rereads, and then I have 3 books that I still need to read in the series. And then I also want to continue with her other series that are like the books that are out, which is House of Sky and Breath, and also don't remember the name, the other one with the wings. So I still need to read these 2, and hopefully I will get to them this year. And the last series that I want to focus on this year is the Expanse series. I had the goal last year to read 1 a month and then be done with it at like August, September. That didn't happen. I'm still at Abundance? I think that's how you say it, Abundance Gate. I really love the series. I love the TV series as well. So I know that the book series is very close to it until this point. Maybe I mean, there are differences, but it's close enough that I really do enjoy it, and I want to see where it goes. So, and it's finished, so I can just read the whole damn thing, hopefully. So we have 7 books. I still need to read 7 books in that series. There are 2 read-alongs happening that interest me. One is The Witcher and one is Terry Pratchett's Around the Disc 800. I'm not sure I'm gonna get to those. I mean, The Witcher, I have the first one here and I enjoyed, well, I didn't love, I liked the first season. I never watched the next ones. And now that they're like changing the actors, I'm not really sure if I'm gonna get into it. Since I have like the first book in the series on my shelves, I might just try that one and see if I want to continue with the read-along. And then the Terry Pratchett one, I think I read some books of Terry Pratchett, but they weren't really my cup of tea. That being said, I read them when I was a teenager. Not sure if maybe my reading tastes have changed, so I might just pick up 1 or 2 of the books and see if I want to continue with that read-along. But yeah, continue and finish series, that is my goal. And I said, like in my journal, I said you're allowed to DNF series. So another thing is I kind of feel obligated to continue with series that I started. Sometimes, a lot of times, I already have like the whole series on hand and I'm kind of like, but I bought all these books. Now I'm supposed to DNF it? What? But yes, you're allowed to DNF series if you're not enjoying them. So I hopefully I will take that to heart. And right now, for example, I'm reading the French book series, The Mirror Traveler. A Winter's Promise is the first one. I reread the first one because I did read it a couple of years ago, and my star rating dropped a lot for this reread, and I already have the 4 books in hardcover. So I'm kind of like, I wanted to love this series, but now I'm kind of like, maybe it's just not for me. So I'm trying book 2, but here's me saying if I'm not enjoying it, I'm not gonna force it. Skip to next year where I'm like, yeah, I finished it even though I didn't like it. Anyway, so it's okay to DNF. DNF in general. I'm hoping to DNF more. I have this month, I successfully DNF'd some books, which is great. I think there were books that I meant to read for the bookstore, and I was like, that's just not my thing. I know a couple of my colleagues will read this, and it's fine if I just go off what they're saying in order to sell the books. I don't have to read it for myself. I liked the premise, it wasn't vibing with me. And it felt good. It felt good to just DNF it and be like, meh, not for me. Another one was that I actually wanted to read for myself. One that we had in the bookstore, and I was like, oh yeah, that sounds really good, and I really heard great things about it. But it was only meh. I knew it was gonna be like a 3-star, so even though I was already like 100 pages or something into the book, I was like, I'm just gonna put it down. And then I picked something else up and I loved it, and it had like 4 or 5 stars, and I was like, yeah, right choice. So DNF, that's the thing. But yeah, then we have the whole section read more of. So I want to read more sci-fi. That's a genre that I actually really like. Like I said, The Expanse is a great series. I flew through the first couple of books in that series, and there are other like science fiction novels that I really enjoyed. I just don't seem to pick them up as much. I have so many books on my TBR where I'm like, oh, I really wanted to read that, I heard great things about it, I've been meaning to get to it, and I just don't pick them up. And I think I only read like 2 science fiction books last year, which is crazy when I read 186 books. What's happening there? So that's a goal of mine, to read more sci-fi, just to be aware, to pick them up, to be actively searching out sci-fi for like readathons or for my TBRs. Just be like aware that I should get 1 or 2 sci-fi books in there as well. Saying that, I haven't read a sci-fi book in January yet, so goals. Another thing that I really need to read more of is book box subscription books. Wow, that's a lot. So I have these subscriptions to book boxes that everybody is kind of subscribed to, let's be honest. So I have both of the Fairy Loot ones. I have Illumicrate, I have Owlcrate. I skip a lot of those. Like if something is not interesting me, I've managed to, it's like the DNF, you're allowed to skip those. But I'm kind of having FOMO a lot of the time. Like when I see other people like unboxing them, I'm like, oh, I could have had that. But I have so many books that I got through these subscriptions. Why is it so hard to say? Subscriptions. I have so many books that I got from these boxes, and I never read them, even though again there were sometimes books that I've been meaning to. Some of these I got ARCs for, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna wait because I know I'm gonna get them in a book box, and then I got it and I never read it. Shame on me. So the goal is to, 1, keep up with the subscription book box books, and then maybe even read some of my backlist books that I got, just to keep up with them and just see if I like the books, if I like what they did with them, like the new covers, the sprayed edges. Do I like that, or would I prefer like the original cover? I mean, that's the whole point, to like the books, like the special edition ones. And also to be very aware of the items that come with it. Like some of the goodies are really great. Some of them I use like every day. Some of them I unpack and just throw them in a corner and they're never seen again. And some I just really don't like. So be very aware and like keep tabs on what I liked and what I didn't, so that in the end I can tally up how much it's actually worth to me to keep my subscription. So the goal is, again, long story short, to read the books, be aware of what I'm getting, be aware of how much I'm paying for them to be shipped here to Germany, and if it's worth it or if I should unsubscribe. I think I only said like 1 and I never said 2. So 2 would be say subscribed or unsubscribe. Wow. Anyway, and the next goal is to read more unseasonal books, which may seem like a weird goal to have, but the thing is, I keep all these books to read during spooky season or to read during Christmas season, because of course Christmas books you want to read during Christmas time, winter books you want to read during the winter time. But then I keep so many of these books that when the time comes to read them, I don't, or I have too many and I can't keep up, or like I'm sick of seeing winter books or like reading about Christmas when the time comes, because I've read like 4 or 5 already, and in the end I don't read them. and they stay there. And every time, of course, new books arrive, new books get published, and I'm like, oh my god, I want to read those as well during the spooky or the Christmas or the whatever time. So I want to be more actively reaching for books that may not fit the season. So maybe like a beach read in January. Didn't do that. In order to keep up with books and maybe also be able to tell if it really is a great book, or maybe because it's only great if you read it in the time. Like a Christmas romance novel should be an amazing novel if you're reading it in January or in March or in June or in December. So the romance part of it should transcend any season, if you know what I mean. So that's another goal, just to here and there pick up an unseasonal book. And I did finish a Christmas novel in January, so I can check that one off. Didn't really like it, but I didn't really like it when I started it in December, so nothing to do with the season. And that's it. Let's talk about like YouTube and my like Instagram, YouTube goals. I'm not gonna say any numbers on here because I'm not sure if they make any sense, because I'm doing this for the first time. I'm trying to get more subscribers, of course, so if you liked it, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Let me plug myself here. And also, if you don't know, I'm also on Instagram. I'm gonna link everything down below. So I did put down goals for Instagram for the subscribe account, but I also put down goals for how many posts I want to do, because I noticed that I'm very good at posting like stories on Instagram, but I need to get better at posting like reels and just normal pictures, because I'm usually like, it's not good enough to be a post, which is stupid. A goal. And also, like for YouTube, I put down a number of what I'm hopeful for is going to be the subscribe account at the end of the year, and also how many videos I want to do during the year. I lowballed it a little bit for the video, like the number of videos I want to do, but I don't want to be like, I want to post every week and then don't reach that goal and be very disheartened by it. So I lowballed it, and like with the Goodreads goal, I'm hoping that I will reach it and be able to just go on and do more. Basically, the goals are, don't put too much pressure on yourself, but have some accountability. I mean, maybe it's just a fun video to look back on and laugh about how much I did not reach my goals, but here they are. These are my goals. Let me know down in the comments if you have any reading goals, or if you are like a mood reader and just go with it and just see what the year brings. I mean, who knows what 2023 will bring? I don't. I have no idea. I do have some ideas for some videos, so stick around and I will see you next time. And until then, I hope you have all the great reads. Bye!